Ever wondered what your great-great-grandchildren might be having for dinner? A nutrient-rich algae shake? A lab-grown steak? Or maybe just bugs? We often think of future food as something straight out of a sci-fi movie, a world of pills and synthetic pastes. But what if I told you that the future of food has a long, fascinating, and often surprising history? That's right. We're going on a journey to uncover the untold history of the food that hasn't even been invented yet. Forget what you think you know, because the story of tomorrow's menu began long, long ago. Let's start our time-traveling adventure in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The Industrial Revolution had completely transformed society. Cities were booming, populations were exploding, and for the first time, people started to seriously worry. How are we going to feed everyone? This wasn't just a question of quantity, it was a question of efficiency. Scientists and thinkers began dreaming of scientific eating. They imagined a future where messy, inefficient things like farming and cooking would be replaced by pure, concentrated nutrition. One of the earliest pioneers was a French chemist named Marcel Berthelot. As early as the 1860s, he envisioned a future where food would be created entirely in a lab from its basic chemical elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. No farms, no seasons, just pure, unadulterated chemical synthesis. It sounds a bit bleak, doesn't it? But to them, it was a utopian vision of progress, a world free from famine and agricultural toil. This dream of a food pill captured the public imagination. It was the ultimate symbol of a future powered by science and logic. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, the era of the space race and the atomic age. The future wasn't just about efficiency anymore, it was about conquering new frontiers. And what's the ultimate frontier? Outer space. Feeding astronauts became a massive challenge for scientists at NASA. You can't exactly pack a picnic basket for a trip to the moon. The food had to be lightweight, nutrient-dense, and have an incredibly long shelf life. This led to the birth of foods that we now associate with astronauts: freeze-dried ice cream, food in tubes that looked like toothpaste, and Tang, the powdered orange drink. While many of these were developed for the space program, they sparked a new wave of thinking about future food on Earth. Companies started marketing space-age foods to the public. The idea was that if it was good enough for an astronaut, it was the peak of modern convenience for the busy family on the ground. This era cemented the idea that future food would be highly processed, packaged, and engineered for maximum convenience, a stark contrast to the farm-to-table ideal we often hear about today. But then, something shifted. By the 1960s and 70s, a counter-movement began to grow. People started questioning the industrial food system. They worried about pesticides, pollution, and the loss of connection to where their food came from. This was the birth of the organic and whole foods movements. Suddenly, the future of food wasn't just about lab-made efficiency, it was about sustainability, health, and ethics. This is when we first start hearing serious discussions about vegetarianism and veganism, not just as personal choices, but as solutions to global problems. Thinkers like Frances Moore Lapp, in her groundbreaking 1971 book Diet for a Small Planet, argued that our meat-heavy diets were incredibly inefficient and environmentally damaging. She proposed a future centered on plant-based proteins. This was a radical idea at the time. It suggested that the future of food wasn't about inventing something new and artificial, but about rediscovering a more sustainable way of eating that had existed for centuries in many cultures. The future, it turned out, might actually look a lot like the past. This brings us to the late 20th and early 21st centuries, where these two parallel histories, the high-tech and the back-to-nature, start to collide and merge in fascinating ways. On one hand, we had the dawn of genetic engineering, genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, promised to create crops that were resistant to pests, required less water, and were more nutritious. This was the 2.0 version of the scientific food dream, not creating food from scratch in a lab, but perfecting nature itself through biotechnology. It promised to solve world hunger and create a more resilient food supply. On the other hand, the organic and sustainable food movements grew stronger than ever. The focus shifted to concepts like locavore eating, farmers markets, and understanding the carbon footprint of our food. It seemed like we had two competing visions for the future, one driven by the lab, and one driven by the land. But what's happening now is that these two paths are starting to intertwine. So, where does that leave us today, as we look towards the next 50 or 100 years? We are living in the middle of this incredible synthesis. Take lab-grown meat, for example. It's the ultimate high-tech food, grown from animal cells in a bioreactor Marcellin Berthelot stream, in a way. Yet, its primary motivation is sustainability and ethics, goals directly from the counterculture movement. It aims to reduce the environmental impact of traditional livestock farming and eliminate the need to slaughter animals. Similarly, we have vertical farming. These are massive indoor farms where crops are grown in stacked layers under LED lights. It's an incredibly high-tech, controlled environment, but it allows us to grow fresh, local produce right in the heart of our cities, drastically reducing food miles and pesticide use. It's the local food movement, powered by cutting-edge technology. And what about insects? For millennia, insects have been a traditional food source for billions of people around the world. Now, Western entrepreneurs are marketing cricket powder and mealworm snacks as a super sustainable, high-protein future food. It's an ancient practice being rebranded for a new, environmentally conscious generation. So, the untold history of future food isn't a single, straight line. It's not just about space-age pills or idyllic organic farms. It's a rich, complex story of competing dreams and ideas that have evolved over time. It's a story about our deepest hopes and anxieties, our fear of scarcity, our faith in progress, our desire for convenience, and our yearning for a connection to the natural world. Each era has projected its own values onto the dinner plate of tomorrow. The future of food isn't just one thing. It's a menu with many options. It will likely be a blend of all these histories: hyperlocal vegetables from a vertical farm next door, a juicy steak grown in a lab, and snacks made from ancient grains and sustainable proteins like algae or insects. The one thing that is certain is that our conversation about what we eat, and why we eat it, will continue to be one of the most important discussions we have. What do you think the future of food will look like? Are you ready for a cricket burger, or are you hoping for something a little more traditional? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. The future is a fascinating place, and it's being cooked up right now. Thanks so much for watching and exploring this history with me. If you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world around us. See you in the next one.